let's try that. There. Right. You're alright, little man. Rory is still feeling the extreme after effects of his grave mistake yesterday. And he's feeling a little bit rough, as the phrase goes. But not only is he feeling a little rough because he ate a tub of Vaseline, possibly due to being slightly grumpy due to not feeling at his best, my little man woke up at 4 o'clock this morning and decided to wage a death match with his sister. And lost. And now has a big scratch on his nose. So not only is maybe his guts feeling decisively horrible, his butt rather slimy, he's got a sore nose. So he is feeling very much second hand. Yeah. Poor little man. Yes. Now, I haven't scoured the garden because, well, I've got better things to do. But I actually haven't seen most of the tub of the Vaseline. So either it's still in there, or it's somewhere in the garden. Because at least on the good side, it is not indoors. But he is feeling very second hand over there. Oh, my poor little soldier. Oh, poorly little soul. Right, let me move my tables a little bit. Because I don't... No, Amy, stop being annoying. To be fair... Right, let me click on some things so I can make sure that you can see what's going on well enough. Because, well, otherwise that's an issue. You sit there. Right. So, let's kick into action. So, once again, my stream is echoing out through my speakers at the beginning. I have no idea what's causing that. After all, it never used to. But suddenly it's decided that that's the most fun thing in the world. And why does that look like a really grave mistake? That's because you are the big over there. That's alright then. Let's do a few more of this side first. You stay there. You sit there, pups. Should have tidied up after the dinner, really, shouldn't I? Yes. Itch. Still got a really sore eye as well. I'm also a little second. Nothing that I can't cope with, but for the most part it feels alright. It's producing quite a bit of gunk, which is making the outside bit get a bit sore, and it seals itself up overnight, which isn't always a bad thing, to be honest, because then it's not, you know. But on the other hand, you know, it's unpleasant and still grumpy. Oh, that was slightly excessive considering we'd already done that. just realised. Why aren't they hearing that? I think I've identified partly what's wrong. Maybe that's better. Right. Normally when I plug my headphones in, it changes the default device to be my headphones. And I had something playing in a web browser and I thought it must have stopped. No, it was playing, probably on the speakers. So, but also not on the speakers. No, no, that makes no sense. But I wasn't hearing it. Whereas I was before I hit stream. So OBS has changed something, I think. Is the short answer. I feel like you got too many then. smell that. That's nice. Dear Lord, Tom. Vaseline apparently does not smell good on my hair. Put you on the stick for the moment to keep you tidy. Your size. There. So, oh. So, time to do this side a little bit. You three, and I need the two of you. There. So, let's do this one. Off the pin. Come on. Okay. in sort of a funny angle. I would normally beat you off, little paws, but I would normally beat the dog off. Given he's not feeling too well, it would be a bit mean of me. Hello! Hello! Yeah, that woke you up. You horrible animal. It's alright, little man. I'm mad at you, but I'm not going to tell you. Come here. What's up, little man? What's up? I don't know exactly what's up, but what's the matter? Hmm? What's on your tail? Little man. Hmm? What's up, Rory? Hey, Rory, Rory. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, Rory's still very unhappy. She is. poor decision yesterday. But unfortunately it is just a wait it out and see kind of moment. But he is a silly boy. I also suspect Rory's mistake of yesterday has been contagious, because my guts aren't up to good today either. This is a bit confusing because although they put some of the paths of some of the pairs on, it's not all of them. Because that looks horrid. That looks horrible. So the reason it looks horrible is well, kind of simple. It looks wrong. I don't think it is. Let's undo this. The reason being is that let's take this pin out. Right, go in there a sec. This pair here. Let's actually undo this second. This pair are the export from the widest point. Now normally these two would meet to make that pin there, but they can't because this pair has got to go round that pin. And if you join them in, well, it's just a pair hanging down. It doesn't give the aesthetic that you want, which was little diamonds. So I can find a web page on it. What part of a fucking ring is lace? I can't find a single picture of one. Nope, nothing there. Shut up, dog. So I'm just looking through a lot of pictures, trying to. Because this is not looking the way I wanted it. I thought, well, not the way I thought it would. Maybe in there. Or there. I suppose it might be in here. Down to it. What does she call it in? lace maker thing. Pinces it over. No. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Pin motif. It is 4-eye block. Okay. Hello, hello. I'm trying to hunt down how to achieve this motif because it's not making sense. Hang on a sec, let me do the thing and back again. Right. So, if I grab the motif, and I'll show you what I mean. So, do. Saw you a minute ago. There it is. Right, let me show you on screen. Yeah, with any luck, that's the right button. So, forgive the screen positioning. It's when you zoom in, it doesn't zoom in on the middle. It doesn't zoom in on what's selected. It kind of does what it wants. So, let me, with my artisticness, this will do. So from here, this is made up of two bobbins that come in like this. Another bobbin comes in there to meet that, like this. So for all of these ones on the side, there is a pair of bobbins coming, right? Now this bit is not the problem. But for every pair, because obviously, for example, two come in here, one goes down, nothing goes over here, which isn't a problem because it went down there, met with that. There is now a spare pair of bobbins, but you can't have it going here because you've already got two coming. Well, it doesn't go over here either, so it kind of, where does it go? So if I leave this dangling like that, this comes up here to make the two and comes down. Great. Then, obviously, the one that was here goes over here. So this one splits into these two. That's fine. This comes into here, but there's nothing for it to join. It just doesn't seem to work. And you've either got too many or not enough. It's one of those how does that work moments. So there's a spare one. So if I select this, there's a spare one here, which I'll make very fat. Change width, size, make very fat. There's a spare one coming out here, but there is no spare one coming out here because that joined that and that was fine. Oh no, there is one coming out this one. There should be one coming out of that one. But I don't have one coming out of that one. Or do I? I do. I have a pair coming out of that one too. It's just hard to tell because of the size of the thing. So there's one's coming out of either side of these. So if I do another one of these, this kind of comes down here like this, and we want to grab it and make it fat. Make it fat. So this thing comes to here. Now I can't have them all come to this point here because it doesn't work that way. You can't just gather them up. But if this one comes to here and makes... I'm not. It is the motifs in the strip that are auditioning for a place in my curtain. So I have strips and various motifs. Hang on. Plonk. So I have a strip, and so far we have done, not that you can see them because they're off camera and my camera is still not working because the stupid people still can't admit that their stupid software doesn't talk to itself, even though I've given them exact log files that says I've checked the following ports, but the app, because I've got an Elgato microphone and an Elgato Stream Deck, right? And the Stream Deck says, yeah. So with this, I've done some motifs in the middle. Yeah, but I'm having a problem with this one because most of the spiders make sense. But what doesn't make sense is that effectively, yeah, it's not going to work that way. But these, ungroup it, ungroup on, and ungroup. Piss off. These four here should make. Just select the dot, you rainmate piece of crap. I hate this program because so much of it does not correspond to any known computer UI standards, and it just drives me nuts. Because anyway, these top four, because I can't even tell if you can see my mouse, but these top four should make a diamond. Then you go over here and there are 5 that don't make diamonds but make squiggles, for want of a better word, either side. But the problem is the 2 pairs that you expel at the widest point of that top one don't have anywhere to go. Because you've got 2 pairs coming in to the 3rd pin down, 2 from the middle, because it splits in half, and 1 from the new pin. 1 from the outside. Now you could go, oh, well, that's right, it's passive. Well, then you're not going to see the diamond in the top. And obviously, if you actually look here, there's the incoming, there's an incoming and outgoing, but there's also a dangle. So there's a 3rd one from this pin, but where did it come from? How did it get there? Because, well, basically arse is the name of the game. I don't know, because the idea of this seemed really nice, but I am regretting this choice because it just doesn't quite. No, actually, I'm wrong. I'm being stupid. There aren't 3 coming out. Because... No, I understand. So, this line that goes across to this 3rd pin from the middle, which is the pair that join in the middle, goes and makes the rest of the zigzag. So that corresponds to 1 pair out. This pair that came in becomes a passive. But we've got a spare pair. All the time. And I can't find a picture of it anywhere on the internet. Hang on, what's that? That's rose gold. See, the other thing you've got, of course, is if you do diamond cluster, you get, well, rings. If you do eyes, then you get eyeballs. No matter how much you write torsion and bobbin lace on it. It really is very confusing. And what I don't understand is why this lace, but I assume this is why no one uses this blob of lace on anything, because no one else can make any friggin' sense of it either. Infuriating, because it's one of those things is until you look at it, it looks like it makes sense, but there's literally no mention of this thing on the internet whatsoever. Thank you. So this is my middle two. I've completed the first diamond chunk, right? And this is... Well, this is it. It just doesn't add up. And even if for some reason, let's say I snuck these in and, you know, well, not that one, obviously, snuck these two in here, right, to make the bottom of my thing, and say, kind of tried to scrunch them in a bit and pretend that they're all one happy family, right? I did goth stitch with the zigzag. The problem is there's only one passive pair, so it doesn't really show up very much. Because that's what I've done. And let me try and... I've got to do all my camera shit manually at the moment. Let me fire up camera app. And I need to go up. Hang on. Hang on. You can move a bit quicker than that. No, you're not going to move that, are you? Okay, let's move up a bit. It's very hard to look at a picture and for some reason keep your finger on the button. I can zoom in a bit more, there we go. And so I appreciate that it's not the best done, but I've done... Problem is you can't see due to the pins, but if I push them down a lot more, maybe that'll help. Alright. And where is the other one? It's that one. So I've done kind of the first little diamond, and I've got the two kind of spares. Now these, by the grace of the scribble underneath, need to head over here to meet this pair and this pair. With now, if I just have these as passives, well, it's not going to look like there was a diamond at the top, is it? It's just going to look... It just looks really messy. So if I kind of go over here, right, go to the edge like this, put the pin in like this, and come back and assume that you are now part of the deal, and go like this. Like this, do this, go back again. Now there is another pair. We go through you. We do pin for you, and do that, and we come back here, and I need to go all the way through again, just checking where I've got to. So this goes through to here like this, so this goes in there like this, comes over, and then arguably comes out somewhere around about here. Now maybe, but which side of the pin do I put these passives? I mean, and I need to look at the picture on the screen. Hang on to have a good look at where I'm at. So we're... Well, they haven't got to the centre. They're just in this diamond and have kind of floated around a bit. But There is no passive shown for these two outer diamonds. There just isn't one. And you've got to go and meet in the middle. So let's go and do the other side and not finish off this one per se. I'm not going to call it done. So with this one, you are the work pair, so you've got to go through this pair and pick up you. I think whatever I do with this, as long as they end up coming out in the right places, I'm going to pretend. I don't think this is going to be a winner, you know. So I don't think this is going to be one of my... Well, it's not really improvising because, well, I planned it out using, you know, Lace 8 as a program to plan my choices and put them on the piece of paper. What I didn't do was actually check how vibrant that they made some damn sense when you come to do them. Not heard of that one. In fact, I've only ever heard of one. This one. And I've googled quite a bit. So. Ah, that'll be why. So you go there. And then you come. I wasn't making lace then, so. I now need. It's now 4,000 degrees in here again. It's been reasonably cool all day, and now it's seriously. I've got a sick dog who ate a tub of Vaseline. To give you an idea, this is what he ate. He ate the whole tub yesterday. Don't ask, it's a stupid dog. Then he picked a fight with his sister, so now he's got a sore nose because she chomped it. Now, you what the fuck? So, the bottom of this, I've just done this one. I'm up here, and this comes in here. Oh, hang on. Alexa, fan on. Bit of a breeze, because clearly my brain cells are overheating. No, haven't got that far yet. But this may not be in the right hole. No, that is in the right hole. I've got a sore eye, I've got big boobs, and I can't get close enough to see what I'm doing well enough without losing my marbles, and it's already been a shitty week, so I am not at my most tolerable, and because I've got a ganky eye, every time I try and focus on something it kind of goes, here's some more glue, and then I can't see again. So let me undo this. I also have a vision impairment, which means I can't tell when there are multiple lines of things, so like phone lines, so like the old curly phone cable, whatever, I can't see. My brain can't compute it. And the same happens a bit with lace threads on top of each other. I can't tell if they're on top or not. See, this doesn't feel right. Anyway, so have fun, Sugar Bear. Have fun, Sugar Bear. So this and this. Hang on. The problem is I need the picture of this to try and work out what the fuck it's doing. So, even though you go back to the middle, which I haven't defined, you need to go back to the middle, which is in the middle of here somewhere, the tiny dot. So you need to go back that way. I don't know how many pairs need to be which side of the hole. Let's say it's only the one, because that gives us 2 in the middle, which is far too many, because in the middle for this one here, this one comes in, this one comes in, one drops down, and we don't need the other 2. But it can't get from that pin to that pin without really going over something. I think you come over there, you come to the middle, you two now form the bit in the middle. Do I have a spare pin? I do. I think you form a bit in the middle. You go over that, like that. Although I don't know why one of you's baggy, there it is. And you go over another pin, like that. Okay. Now, the biggest problem is there's nothing to add to the middle. Because, well, there's just nothing to add to the middle. I hate this. This is not sensible. This does not make sense. This is dumb. Unanimous decision. No, because the picture shows them going somewhere else. But the pair that was on the pin is supposed to be the worker pair for the outside diamond. It just doesn't add up. So, the unanimous decision of the moment is, I hate this stitch. This stitch is a loser. This stitch can go jump off a bridge and cause terrible, irreparable harm to itself. And I will only cheer. I will never use it again. And in fact, I will probably delete it from my library so that I'm not tempted to click on it ever again in the history of ever. We will undo all of these pins. Undo this. Undo all of this. Because of course the other problem I have is I can't see where the pins are in relation to the threads for the same reason I can't tell where the threads are. So let's undo this. No, you're just turning into a big messy pile of, why are you a big messy pile? You need to uncross. I can't tell if you're crossed or not. You need to uncross. getting longer. I can feel it. You are like that. You are like that. You'd think it would be as simple as undoing, but it never seems to be. Right, now you come out. Come round. And now you come out there like that. You two need to stop getting longer because my patience is not. My patience for annoying things today is pretty small. Because I've got a dog who's farting Vaseline on everything. You come out of there like that. You undo you, and we go back this way. Undo you. Or we try and undo you. I can't see, so I'm just going to pull out some pins because I know it's not you. Yeah. It's not you. I want this one in here. I can see the base of it, but not the top of it. There it is. Undo that. Undo that. Get rid of you. This is the time when I really know that I should never have tried taking up lace. Because I can't see it. I can't see the threads. They're too far away, but I can't physically get any closer. I mean, if I put my arm out, that's as far as my arm goes. So I'm at arm's length. I just can't see close enough. And there's nowhere to attach a magnifying glass. Because, well, that's kind of where the camera is. So I can't, you know, use something to assist me. And then I get itchy, and then I get really moody, because I've tried, I weave and knit and crochet. I know the curses are black. To be honest, the colour is not the problem for me. I don't struggle as much with black as a lot of people. I just struggle because I can't tell if anything's on top or underneath it. Whether it's knitting or otherwise. I just can't, you know. I can, for example, with these wooden blocks, I can easily see that this one is on top. But the moment it's kind of, well, I mean, here's a tiny bit of yarn. If I cross this yarn in a direction, I can just about tell that this one is on top, but I have to squint at it, and it makes doing so many crafting things really difficult when you can't tell whether you're on top, next to you, underneath. Should they be crossed? Should maybe they not be crossed? You know. And I end up with like this, and we all know that I made this with cloth stitch, so it should be really easy to undo, but it never seems to be. It you know, the reverse of the forward journey never seems to be the answer, and I don't get it. You know, it defies all logic, and then my brain really hurts, and then I get really moody, as if I wasn't moody enough. Well, when it works, it is to me. The problem is randomly it just suddenly isn't applicable anymore, and you're like, but I was in the middle of doing it, everything was going fine. Now, the obvious answer is clearly I made a mistake on the way down. But at the same time, you know, cloth stitch is not exactly the hardest thing in the world. But apparently I managed to get it wrong, and you're like, surely I would have noticed. Well, if you've paid any attention as to how I actually do my cloth stitch, I actually have. Because my cloth stitch is the same in both directions. Now, there is more complicated meaning to that. When I'm doing more than one, I do over, under, over, under, over, under. I don't do cloth stitch per se. And as a result of doing not cloth stitch per se, once you've done that first twist, it's the same in either direction. So undoing it is the same in either direction. You just have to do a bit more or less at the start. I'm going to how am I going to decide to do this? I know what I'm going to do. Do not ask. This is a strange incarnation, but you are also not right. You are. Where are you from? So I do need you. Right. And I need you. Okay. And you go. I'm going to put a pin in the middle of you. Like that. Go with it. This is the strangest poop you will have ever seen. So, yep. And in this one, we want in the middle of this pair here to go in that spot, like that, and then you twist at the end, and I understand that feeling. Across the wrong thing. Worked out how to do this before, and will you stop getting longer? Let's see where I'm at, because it's you and you two. So you need to get under and over, but I need to put a pin in between there, and you get across. You come down, so you need to come down, and you go. You need to put a pin in this gap here, put that in there, that. That doesn't add up. So actually, you are you. I need you to go through before I put the pin in. Now it goes in. This hole here goes in. No, I can't be. Clearly, this is not my day. This is not working. I did a thing before where literally, instead of doing cloth stitch in the way with a worker pair, you take pair from here, cloth stitch over, and it comes out the other side. Pair from here, cloth stitch over, it comes out down here. So they just follow their path. They don't go backwards and forwards. But I'm eating things. It's like I had plastic for tea. Let me undo this then. Now I need to undo you as well, don't I? So I need to undo you. Because, well, that's not worked out. But again, you've kind of... See, you're all tangled because for some reason you're not what you said you were. Let's undo you because you seem to be behaving, and make you shorter because for some reason everybody's in the getting long stage of life today. So you come over there and something goes wrong in here, like that. Make you shorter because it seems we stopped having to do this before and you weren't doing this and suddenly you're all now being annoying. Why are you being annoying? Right, so the there's something going on still over here. You need to come out. So, back you go. Right, everyone's where they started. Now, you need to do that there and that. And you need to be shorter. I'm sure you're doing it to piss me off. I know they're inanimate objects, but it really does feel like they're doing it to piss me off. So, you now do this and come down here like this and across half. See, look at it. It just gets longer every frigging time. Half and across and a half. And across and a half and across and a half and across, and then you twist. See, I don't want them too short, but I don't want them dangling off the bottom of my pillow either. I know you can't see because it's just dawned on me that I'm zoomed out because of course I can't use my camera properly. So hang on, let me put you back. Where's my camera at gone? I think it's that one. There you go. That's what I'm doing again. So let me put you in there for a minute so that you're on my border. You go over there a second. You come all the way across to this pair where you do half. And across and a twist, and I need another pokey stick. Pokey stick. Shall I put it there? Right. Because you come down the edge, so you're the last one of the set. So you come through here like this. This should make a really loose cloth stitch type effect. And get it there, potentially, and across. And twist and under the pin. Because whatever it was, this is just a fudge. This is just because I can. Alright. Twist. This long one's getting longer and longer, making it very difficult. that hole there, you go there, and you cross. No. Yes. You are also now sorted. You now come through here. I probably should have done something more on this very first. Yeah, it's going to look a bit of a wonky size because I didn't do the cross and twist thing for these on the way in. But you know what? It's been a long day and no, you're not supposed to cross. So and then you meet at the bottom. Like that. So it makes a kind of floaty, cloth stitchy diamond. A bit net curtainy, so it's not too dense. Right. Now that catastrophe is out the way, we won't be doing that again, ever. And as I said, I will go now into lace 8 and I will go to motifs. I will find it. Delete. You're awful. I'm never doing you again. I don't want you to tempt me. With your witchcraft and stupidity. We're not doing that again. So. Right. We can go back over here. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6. Interesting. How are we? We are. We're in the wrong holes. And I screwed up somehow. So, let me undo that. Before you ask, yeah, somehow I screwed this up. Well, I can see how I screwed it up. I mean, you know, it's kind of there for all to see, but apparently my stupidity is just that great. I'm just that capable of getting it wrong all the wretched time. So do you now under, picking out. Now technically these still need to go under over under, but there was also a cross back here, so I needed to come and sort that out. So you were under there. So you go over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under. Now we put you in here like that, and across you, and you twist. Now we bring you through from the edge up here, but it's you we need to bring. So 1, 2, think that's kind of where we were at. You are now to be at the bottom, like this. So you get a pin. I could have done it as I went, of course, but I didn't. You are above. You. But now you don't have a pin. Mummy, this isn't adding up again. Mum. How is this not adding up? Mum. You need to be in there, but that still doesn't give you a pin. But you had one. You come out there, you there. Let me check this. So, you come out of that pin and are twisted like you should be. You come out of that pin and you're twisted. You come out for that pin and you're twisted. You are round the wrong pin. That's why. You go round this pin and are twisted. This is why it doesn't work. So you go up here and are twisted. You go in here, which now means that I have the right number of pins and shit, which is always a bonus. And you are twisted. You two meet in the middle and do the thing. And I need a pin. Right. Now, to make my life just a little bit simpler, I am going to put you that side of the pin so it holds it all together, look, like that. Now, you see what I was seeing in my head when I said about the loose cloth stitch. It gives it a, I mean, I could put more pins in, to be honest, because there are spots for pins about here, like this, because this is where the pins would be. Not that I can clearly see the holes, but around here somewhere like this, to hold the little diamonds in. I know it's not actually holding it in, but it'll help frame the thought. And then this last one, so these around here somewhere. See, I just wish I could see it. So it goes in there like that. You need to go kind of in there like that. There you go. So, oh, got an itch. So, anyway, this should be 7 over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put you back on the stick. Bobbin that made it down through the hole. One that's far too long. Now, my luck, this will be the thing I like the most. And it's not hard. You just got to think about it before you start. I did think about doing it on the squares because while I like cloth stitch, it is quite a heavy stitch if done at the right kind of enthusiasm, shall we call it, because obviously you would normally have a worker in between, and so there's 4 passes backwards and forwards in between the passives, and it does get a bit crowded, whereas this way it's not crowded. And when you think of a lace curtain, a net curtain, you do want it to be fairly transparent, even in some of the heavier modes, and it gives you a third level of density to, you know, because obviously you've got the little cloth stitch bits in here, and depending on some of the other stitches, other little cloth bits. But this gives you a kind of a additional level, kind of an in-between halfway house. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good. All adds up. That's warm, dude. I mean, I don't know if it's anything like the temperatures here, but I dread to think what it is here. I mean, I know if I pull up my weather app, it will be, oh, it's only like 28 or something, and it's like, yeah, you're missing the 1 in front of that bitch. Yeah, I've been in 42 and it felt cooler than this. Come on. Yeah, it claims 18. No fucking way. There's like, seriously, well, it says 18. I can tell you it ain't. Hang on. Alexa, what's the temperature on the downstairs thermostat?
The downstairs thermostat temperature is 25.5.
So nearly 26 degrees indoors. So as you can understand, if it's like 26 indoors, it doesn't give, you know. The problem is sure, I could go round and run upstairs and open all the windows and open all the doors, and all the bugs will come in. So yeah, talk about I cheated and did what I would call lazy cloth stitch, which is that instead of working backwards and forwards, you just work from side to side, so you just make a simple lattice. And I find that quite a nice intermediate level of density to compared to full cloth stitch and ground and the reason I'm sneezing is because I'm too hot. I don't have allergies, I'm too hot. It's my body's way of cooling me down. It's really infuriating. It's a bit like I belch when I'm hungry. You get used to my body when you live with it. Thank you, dear. Thank you. But it is just... It is one of those weird things where... I've never seen anyone else doing this, so I assume I'm not the first because I'm not that, it's not that much of a radical thing, alright? It's like the snakes. The snakes have not been recorded before. But you see them in everyone else's work, but in partiality. So like when you look at, if you look at these spiders, you see the snake forming. You just need to drop one of the, and you've got the snakes. Well, I can tell you that this does work. It was, when I pull the pins out, it's not like it's going to fall apart, right? And it will be held roughly in place by all of the tension and the other stitches either side. So you wouldn't necessarily want to make the entire middle like that, because that would probably be a bit baggy and saggy. But you can certainly do things with it. And by doing things with it, of course, variety and it's a bit like I have... Where did that come from? It's a bit like putting a bit of colour in it without the hassle of putting colour in it. It gives it variety without too much shit. You just have to work out how the hell you were doing it. Got to remember what you did last time, because of course, it's not exactly a commonly done thing. So, I need two of you. You are pre-twisted. I just need to twist you. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Well, to be honest, can't you leave it till this evening when it's cooler? Much like walking the dog, can't you leave it till like 7 o'clock at night before you do it? Because, no offence, 33C is like vampire weather, And when I mean that, I mean the burst into flames kind of thing, It's only grass, it's only a yard. Unless they're going to give you an air-conditioned, lava suit. I'm sure you know what I mean by the lava suits. The people who go messing around with with live volcanoes wear like special heat-proof lava suit things. Unless they're going to provide you with an air-conditioned one of them. Bite me! I'd rather play a fine. To be fair, most of the British, because we don't have air conditioning except maybe in the office, and some shops. So of course you've been walking around the shopping mall sweating like a horse, going outside sweating even more, coming back in, and then you go into some shop and it's like -10, you know. Yeah, I have the same problem. Someone won't pee on the grass if it tickles her bits while she does it. So I do very much understand that. Um, she definitely does suffer from that. And to be honest, I can't say, it's not. I wouldn't say it's 'cause it sounds amusing. I mean, I mean, I've peed in a field or two in my time. We peed in a field a few times. We're adults. We've been camping. We peed in fields. Yeah, squatting over long grass potentially stinging nails. It's not a thing, It's so I can respect the. No, exactly, and especially when you don't know what's in said tall grass. There could be snakes and spiders. You know, let's be honest. You like to be able to see that there is clearance, that there is a distinct gap between you and nature. So yeah, I totally understand. you know, exactly. No one needs ants. Ants where you don't want them. So it's they're. I mean, one of the common ones that you get in well, in Egypt. Well, exactly, ticks as well. I mean, to be honest, all of it. But in Egypt, one of the reasons they give great lectures to you as a tourist is because there is a fish that lives in the Nile and many streams thereupon, and it will swim up a yeah, but this fish will swim up a stream of piddle and lodge in todgers and other things because they're barbed and they don't want to come out. Let's not think about that too long, but there are things out there trying to kill you. We like to be. I think they're in a lot of kind of hotter, wetter places, but there definitely are some. I think it's called the Bill hurts you thing that you get when you get it. But yeah, either way, do you want to risk it? Would you want to take your chances? It's like a lot of things. I'll be fine. Maybe. I mean, mosquitoes do not bite me, okay? For the whole time I was in Africa with my dad, because we went a couple of times, I didn't get bitten. I also didn't overly wear any bug spray. They just don't like me. And I'm cool with that. But it is kind of amusing when you're watching everyone else kind of go with all the mosquitoes, and you're sitting there kind of going, are they bothering you? That's a shame. My dad one day came in because he'd been in his bedroom. Literally, his bed was a sea of insects. Came in my room, no one. Overnight, he had he put bug spray around the window and the doors, and he'd done everything he could. He woke up to a room full of bugs. Me, not one. I could have left the window open. It was great. I think it has something to do with the amount of garlic I will eat. And onions, and it also yeah, if you have rhesus positive blood, so if you're O positive, A positive, etc., they will like you. If, like me, you have negative blood, they don't like you so much. And all I can say is, if, like me, you are A negative, apparently we are the sprout sandwich to the insect world, because frankly they'd rather eat each other than come take a chomp out of me. I mean, I have been bitten. I think twice in my entire life. Things just do not, no. Oh no, no, I don't want any of that. Oh no. But it is kind of amusing when, you know, you go out somewhere with someone and they come back and they look like, you know, someone's been stubbing out cigarettes on them because they're covered in little red whelps everywhere. And you kind of go, what happened to you? Oh, I got bitten. Did you? Oh, okay. As you've been standing there with, like, you know, your arms and your legs out kind of thing, and, you know, a sleeveless t-shirt and shorts, whatever, and there isn't a single blemish on you, and you're kind of like, that's a shame. But it also means I'm very unlikely to get malaria because they really don't want to bite me. I'd still take my anti-malaria medicine should I ever go somewhere like that again. But I'm pretty confident that I am, you know, kind of least like, you know, I am, if out of all of the crew, I will be the least likely to be bitten. I am last, you know. They will have had to have drained you all of blood before they come for me, you know. I also therefore think that I would assume that Count Dracula would also not be overly interested, which also works for me, so, you know. Because no one wants to be a sparkly vampire, for God's sake. Good dear Lord, no. Have you seen they've made a new one of those? New sparkly vampire film. They made a new sparkly vampire film. And for those who have no idea what I'm talking about, Twilight. Because the vampires in Twilight glisten like diamonds in the sun. Which is why they can't be seen in the sun, because it'll be really obvious that they're vampires. Well, normally it's because you go poof in a big cloud of smoke. I've not read the books. I've vaguely seen the films, and the first film was all right. I mean, you know, it wasn't anything special, but it was all right. I've definitely seen it a lot worse. But like so many things, it just got more stupid the more you went through it. It kind of, I enjoyed watching it because, you know, but I'm sorry, it's got sparkly vampires instantly, you know. It'd be like having a skinny ogre. I mean, I'm sorry, what the f is that? You know, it's just... there are things, there are standards, you know? And clearly, it didn't have them. But yeah, they've made another film. They've brought out number 6. What were our other books? Okay. The problem, like a lot of things, I mean, no offence, if you're a big Star Wars fan, I'm probably going to say something really offensive, but it's like Star Wars. Star Wars was good. Star Wars, the 28 subplots later, not so much. And to be honest, I'm a big Star Trek fan. But the new Star Trek films, which they thankfully seem to have stopped making ever since. Okay. You know, it is one of those frustrating things. It is. Well, to be honest, that's what Disney do. To a large extent, they've always done that. I mean, even Snow White and stuff, they don't really stick to the book. I mean, some of them are closer than others. You know, I'm going to give them their due. Some of them are closer than others. But some of them are just not. And as you say, it's kind of like, you know, if Hansel and Gretel get eaten, well, that's the story, dude. You can't have them saved at the end of the film. You know, it's it is kind of frustrating when you've got a really good story, and we all know that some things are very difficult to represent on screen, even with CGI, etc. There are some things that are just very difficult. But at the same time, when it so fundamentally changes the stories, well, and that's the thing. Some films are, you know, they didn't, you've used the same names. I'll give you that, and that's about it. That's as far as you got with following the book. The later Harry Potter films are getting close to that. Because if you watch, bear in mind I am a serious Harry Potter fan, if you watch the end of Half-Blood Prince, when Dumbledore unfortunately dies, the beginning of Deathly Hallows, the first time you hear of going back to Hogwarts, you hear that the Carrows are running the school. Now, in the book, the whole Dumbledore thing was very different. There was, as we know, if you've watched the films, Dumbledore goes away, and like 3 extra people arrive in Hogwarts through a vanishing cabinet, come up to the astronomy tower. Snape kills Dumbledore, kind of like tragedy, the end, right? In the book, there is a hugely epic battle of Hogwarts, so almost the battle that you, like the battle you see in Deathly Hallows, that actually happens in Half-Blood Prince. Now, there is a battle in Deathly Hallows, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the castle description, an awful lot of it, happens in Half-Blood Prince. And the reason that so many of Dumbledore's army, the kids, survive and are untouched, is because Harry never used his Felix Felicis to go down to see Hagrid when Aragog dies. He gives it to them to share between them while he's away with Dumbledore, and so they've been fighting the battle and nothing was hitting them due to Felix Felicis. So this whole battle never happened in the films. None of it. But the Carrows and a bunch of people do go up into the astronomy tower, and Harry is not standing there kind of part of the conversation. He's frozen on the next level down, and Snape goes up, does the do. But the Carrows are mentioned to be there. Well, of course, when they finally got around to producing Deathly Hallows, well, how many more lies can you make? So they tried to pretend that they were there, and it's like, no, there was Bellatrix Lestrange, Snape, Fenrir Greyback, Dumbledore, and Harry. That's it. They were the only people visible in the entire thing. There were no unknown actors standing around, right? The whole thing about the house elf rights that they cut out of Goblet of Fire. Well, yeah, to be honest, she did bang on about it a lot. And, it would have made for a really long film. But all you would have had to do is put in a couple of snippets of, oh God, is she still talking about, right? At least kind of seed it there. Because, of course, in Deathly Hallows, Kreacher redeems himself. Kreacher turns from being the miserable, foul-mouthed git that he was to making their favourite meals, to doing up the house. Well, that doesn't happen. An awful lot of the good endings for things disappear, and all, because I mean, there are some deleted scenes where even Dudley showed that he'd changed his mind. I mean, cross life, Dudley changed his mind. But in the films, you wouldn't know that. And, you know, it's almost like, how did anyone who's not read the book make any sense of the films? Because, well, they don't make sense. And that's with something that, yeah, there is just so much of it that we appreciate you've got to cut a few bits of fat off because, you know, Goblet of Fire was a damn thick book, and it is a lot of story, and but if you can make The Hobbit into 3 films, pretty sure you could have done a bit more with Harry Potter. It is that frustration that, we get that you had to change a few things, but there were things you could change and no one cares, and things that you don't change that people care about. And I mean, in Chamber of Secrets, when Ron tries to curse Malfoy and tells him to eat slugs, in the book, they go to Hagrid's hut, and Hagrid's kind of going, oh well, you'll just have to, like, puke him up. And he goes, well, who was they trying to curse? And in the film, the lines are the other way around. So in the film, Ron says, he was trying to, curse Malfoy for saying that mine is a half-blood. I don't know what that is. Well, as someone who grew up in the Wizarding world, you bloody ought to. And Hermione goes, yes, you call me a half-blood. It's a foul name. No, Ron's, the mudblood. But she's sitting there explaining it. In the book, it's Ron who explains it, because she doesn't know what it is, because why would she? She is, arguably, a mudblood. And so you do sit there with that kind of... Now, it didn't really matter who said it, so small changes like that, okay, bit odd, but okay, we can do that. But there are things that you just can't change. There are, they took out all of the creatures in the Goblet of Fire maze. There were no creatures in that maze. All of Hagrid's wretched animals. Well, I would argue that magic is in kind of... Well, right. My dad told me a story once. Even in us actual normal people, not that I'm arguably normal, it is not uncommon for strange things to happen in households with small children. And this is not kid actually sneaking around and fiddling with stuff. This is genuine weird shit. So, for example, my dad's old house, well, to be fair, Hagrid already says there's not one that isn't half-blood or less. So let's, put that, in mind. But with standard Muggle people, such as you and me, right? When I was a kid, we had Humphrey. Humphrey lived in the parlour larder thing that was in the corner of my mother's kitchen. And you could put... I've got a tub, this will do. Put the tub here. It would manage to leap off onto the floor. Now, you could understand if it was near the edge, maybe, it fell over somehow, or, it'd been balancing, it fell. No, it would be at the back of the shelf, and it could leap off. It was not uncommon for us all to be downstairs and hear footsteps upstairs when no one was in the house other than the people downstairs or the dog. I, as a child, and I do remember doing this, so I promise you this is a true story. It's not one my parents told me to scare me or anything. Well, my argument would be is that if you think of, for example, autism is a spectrum. Now, quote, normal people have nothing to speak of. But that doesn't mean they haven't got any, it just means they have nothing to speak of. So it may be that muggles were magical, but didn't practice, didn't do that over the centuries. You do that, you missed your best opportunity though, Naughty Cal. I was trying to say to him, he had one of his rope things on his stream, and he had lots of loose ends, and he was kind of, oh god, too many loose ends, and I said, well, tighten. So that's where that comes from. But here's the thing: if you work on the same theory that, you know, an unpracticed thing. I mean, it's like how, in terms of crafting, there are so many people out there who now can't even stab 2 bits of cloth together with a needle and thread. They have zero clues as what to do because they just don't do it. And it's a dying art. There are lots of things that are dying arts. And my argument for magic in the magic community in Harry Potter would be that muggles come from a line where they maybe had weak magic in the first place, didn't really bother. It eventually died because of lack of use and practice and the ability. So that there is, you know, like this, you know, a couple of nanoglobules per body. And that, you know, almost like throwback genes. You know, like throwback genes where you get a random redhead or whatever in the family, right? That suddenly, if you produce a magical child, if it is recognised and goes to school and practices it, and then mingles with other magically practiced, well, that's it. And so, you know, there are scales, and obviously, you know, if it was a voltmeter, it might flicker, but it wouldn't be enough to move even the lightest object. So as a result, they're counted as not having magic, but they kind of do. And I think that is quite a huge possibility, especially as Hagrid says, you know, most of the actual wizards are half blood or less, so they are naturally weak too. Now, obviously, you know, like in all forms of society, there's always the, you know, Gotherington Smythe, you know, who like to think that they're really good and proper when, frankly, they're not so much, and it's all a show. Malfoy, and you know, but I do think that because, you know, you're never going to go round, you know, if you think of, if you go back in human history when racism was horrendously prevalent to an extreme, right? If you had a little bit of a dodgy cousin, you're not going to talk about it now, are you? Well, if your dodgy cousin gets together with some other, you know, people and ends up looking like everybody else, so, you know, further down the family tree they look like everybody else, or mental health or diseases or whatever else, right? As long as you kind of balance it out a bit and it becomes like a background thing over there. I mean, for example, I am not the whitest white person, but I am actually white, right? I just managed to retain a bit of a brown hue, right? I've got a friend who doesn't know who her father was, okay? She was adopted. She has some information on her mother, but not of her father. Now, she permanently looks like she's got a good tan. Nothing more than that. But she got called all manner of names when she was a kid. But her 2 children, one of them's paler than pale. I mean, you know, he's kind of that colour, right? Trev's that colour, by the way. Oops, just thrown something on the floor. But it's so easy for one person somewhere in the family tree to have a hint of something, right? And for suddenly that something to be deemed, oh no, how terrible, because it's, you know, I know, something bad happens there, whatever, right? Hang on, just picking it up. You know, it's so easy for suddenly for it, oh no, we can't admit to that. So if you were half something else, but you could say, well, I'm fully something else, chances are if the one half of you's not so good, but the other half's right, but you can say you're that and people would believe you, well, then that's what you're going to say. Well, well, I wish I could introduce you to my father because he was the most boring arsehole in the entire planet on this subject. My dad had a family tree of over 11,732 individuals, okay? He claimed he had got back to BC. Horseshit, Dad, they don't keep records back that far that are accurate. Don't be so fucking wet. That's right, he's in a box in the other room. I know he can't hear me, but I still like to talk to him in such a manner. But he traced our family through various parts of Europe and the like, right? So I am not going to pretend that I am as British as the British ever were, right? But at the same time, I'm not really not British. Both my parents were British, their parents were British. So, you know, no one I ever would have heard of was not British. But somewhere back in like the 12th century, we were not British. There's been quite a few of us since then. And like any pie, if you think of a pie, if everyone made 12 portions of pie and one of them had a coin in it, 11 people don't get the coin. One person does. And if it takes 2 people with the coin in the pie to make something different, chances are, like 1 in 144, that you're going to be the ones that get together. And, you know, so I do think that in the magical world, the fact that Lily could be magical means that so could Petunia. Now, I mean, she had just as much chance of being, assuming her parents were, you know, the same people and all that, she had just as much chance of being magical. And of course, in the books, it comes out she was envious of Lily. She begged to go to Hogwarts. Now, it could be, like you've said, that, you know, maybe there was a small sniff, but not enough of a sniff that she could have actually done the work at school. But she also wasn't not magical at the same time. Well, then that means there's a chance that Dudley has magical qualities. But again, maybe not enough to actually do something with. And I think that it's one of those things is that, like you've said, I think there is a lot more to it. I know we all know it's made up before anyone wants to get on their aisles. We know that. But the principles and the theories, much like real life, because, you know, books do tend to try and talk to you, you know, in more imaginable terms that, you know, about real life scenarios. It does suggest that, you know, just because there are loads of muggles doesn't mean that there isn't magic out there. Now, there are I'm not a muggle. Too many weird things happen around me for me to be a muggle. Seriously. I can make shit happen. I did a lot as a child. Anyway, the story I was going to tell you as a child, one day I was sitting on my bed. Now, if you think of a house, the front of the house is here. My bedroom was this side. The other side of the landing was a cupboard, a toilet, a bathroom, and at the back a small room. On my side, the other half of the house was my parents' room, right? And my parents had just had an extension built, but it was only a 1 level high, so out of their bedroom window, in effect, you could climb onto the roof. Well, this one's going to get you. So, being a child, I was always very much instructed that you do not go in your parents' bedroom without consent. So I didn't. But I was sitting on my bed and I watched the shadow of a person walking down the landing. So I followed it. They went into the spare room. I went into the spare room. I opened the window and I sat talking to them on the edge of the extension. The gap between that window, because it was 2 windows, only this one opens, so there's the width of this window and a good 6 foot before the wall. As like a 9-year-old child, I managed to get from that window to the extension. I did not go in my parents' room because I remember doing it, because they helped me. And when my parents came looking for me, and I'm sitting there dangling my feet like this, soft thing. How did you get up there? Oh, well, he helped me. Oh, he's gone. Oh, okay. What the fuck are you on about? Shit happens to me. I went to a party. Now, as you know, I won't say I have a temper, but I am not tolerable, right? So I do get grumpy. I got annoyed with some girl who kept trying to kick me. She was wearing a pendant, and I shouted at her, and everybody in the room saw it. Her pendant fell apart. Now everyone just thought her pendant fell apart till they picked up the pieces. Neither bit was broken. Shit like that happens to me, right? So I am very much a believer that there is definitely more to our lives in some respects than we give it credit for. We just haven't kind of, and whether you want to call it magic, spirits, I'd even go as far as some religions, you know, you have to question where, you know, where the visions truly are, because, well, clearly there is something going on. Now, at the same time, there's definitely something wrong here. This doesn't feel right. Hang on. This doesn't look right for some reason. I don't think I twisted it enough. I think that might be why. Yeah, I didn't twist it enough. That's why. Let me sort this out then. I did that. There we go. I didn't twist these at all. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's better. But yeah, there has to be more to it. One of the things that my dad said to me when I was younger was that, much as my dad was not religious in any shape or form, why is it that nearly every religion kind of follows the same pattern? Now, you may have one or more gods, you may or may not call them the same things, you may not quite have the same rules, but the fundamental principle of religion, of our religion is right, everybody else's is wrong, don't do bad shit to other people, except for those, of course, who don't believe in our shit, in which case you can do kind of what you like to them because they're bad people and they're going to hell anyway. And whether you call it heaven and hell or whatever, you know, whatever you call it, there is kind of like a good place for the good and a bad place for the bad, and rules you must follow, and one or more gods that you must apologise to should you even so much as think about doing the wrong thing, and all this kind of stuff. And my dad said, why is it? Because, you know, I think they just found some, you know, the last undiscovered tribe in the world kind of thing, right? You find this undiscovered tribe who haven't spoken to the outside world for hundreds of years, and they believe in the same shit. Why is it that all these religions are basically the same? They have to have stemmed from something. Now, my dad was a firm believer that religion was a way to control the masses. In that, if you, as village leader, said, minions, you must not eat of the red berries because I really fucking like them and I don't want you to have them all because I'm a pig. Well, you're not going to live very long because, well, we'll work that out because we can kill you off and then eat the red berries too because we happen to like them. But if you do sufficiently bad the rain won't come and all of our crops will die when it's summer, right? And rain is less common and going brown is a thing, and you know, well, or worse, you've roughly got an idea when the next eclipse is going to happen. So you can say, oh, it's all God, look what you've done, you've offended the great God, you know, because the Mayans were good at that kind of stuff. With all this in mind, there are too many coincidences around the world for it to be true. Now, as a child, I read, it wasn't a history book, but it was about a historical thing. I read a book about the Egyptians. And because back in the 70s they still had not yet truly devised methods of how they could have achieved making the things that they did, even with millions of slaves to do it for them, the very last chapter said, while everyone believes that, you know, it was done by slaves and it was like this and all the rest of it, it was the, what if it's not? And they actually posed aliens, right? But when you think about it, the size of blocks that they were moving, we almost can't move still to this day. Despite all of our fancy technical equipment, our ability to be stronger, live longer. Because bear in mind, of course, back then, pharaohs did not live to a ripe old age. You know, I would not have made it to 50. 50 was just never a done thing. So with all of that in mind, it is the... You've got to draw a line somewhere. Is Aliens really any less... You know, it's a bit like Prometheus, although that is the most shit set of films ever. But it's almost the Prometheus theory, is that there's too many similarities around the world. Maybe they did. Maybe there were aliens that came along and we all thought that they were gods. I mean, we've got no documentation to prove that they weren't. So yeah, I don't know. I do think that there is a lot to this world that is yet to be discovered and understood, and that while some of them almost certainly do have dull mundane answers to them, and we will be very disappointed, but I also, I mean, they've now potentially, you know, fairly recently, not too recently, but fairly recently, teleported atoms. Well, they teleport atoms. You know, I know it's a bit of a stretch, but, well, more, well, you know, multiple will not, you know, will be potentially doable at some point. And when you can teleport, well, it's going to fucking cut down the cost of travelling a lot, don't it? You're not going to have traffic jams and the like. Instead of your Amazon deliveries being, you know, in 3 days' time when they can be fucking bothered and left under a bush somewhere, you can have, like, the teleportation pad in the corner of the room and shit arrives. It will almost be the Star Trek replicators. Oh, I always wanted one of them. I actually want a Star Trek holodeck and a replicator. And then I will never leave this house again. Ever. Because I could take the dogs to a load of magical places without having to meet anyone else that's going to go, oh, I don't like your dog, can you keep it on a lead? That they can have all the fun and frolics that they want. You know, you can make some up, you can go to real places, you know, it just... Yeah, I want a Star Trek holodeck and a replicator. That's what I'm hanging out for. That's what I want. But of course, if you think of an awful lot of things, if you'd gone back 100 years and shown people computers of today and some of the games that you can play, they'd have declared that witchcraft. You know, 200 years ago, show them a TV. That people could talk to you, real people could talk to you through the TV. that the news would travel by talking pictures. You know, there is just all of this, and so the difference between magic and reality is it can be a very thin line. But I also quite like the idea of kind of like, and a fireball appears. I also quite like the idea of that. That I'd be really up for some of that. Personally, I quite liked the magic in Charmed. I always wanted to have Piper's ability to freeze time, so that I could call people things that they really don't want to hear, but I could do it to their face and feel better. Because, you know, Liz the Grumpy. Because that would just make life so much better to be able to say a few things. So... I quite like some of that. I don't mind if there's magic wands involved, really, really not a problem with that. You know, if I've got to wave a wand and say some magic words to make it happen, cool with that. Although, personally, I do prefer the idea of just going and for them to freeze, because then they wouldn't know I've done it. But... No, I keep meaning to. I will do at some point. In case you wondered why I do that, while I grab the strings and tweak them up, it's easier than trying to grab all of the bobbins to do the same. So. There's a hole around in something. There it is. Oh look, it's going to rain soon. Well, I hope you do a decent amount of bloody rain. I could use it. Let's have a look at the... Yeah, pretty much. Well, you know me, so eloquent with my words. Grab it, yank it, bop it, twist it, you know. Oh, fuck off. That's right, I'm looking at the temperature gauge. So, basically it's going to get hotter till Monday. I want to buy a nuclear bunker. I'm not rich, so it doesn't have to be one of those big, vast things that's like an underground city. I'll settle for, you know, small warehouse. I want an underground bunker. I don't care if I don't see the sunlight. Fuck sunlight. I'll just cover the place with, like, you know, solar panels or something. And it's going to be 31 on Monday, which means more accurately it's going to feel like 38, 39. Because unless it's windy, and it doesn't look like it's going to be windy. Wind. I've farted greater distances than that. Yeah, just no. Good God, no. I know I hate winter, but at least it's not... At least with winter, you put the heating on and a jumper and it's nice and cosy. Or you have the fire on or something. You can't unheat in the UK. You can warm up, you can't cool down. It just doesn't work. Humidity currently is at least 78%. This is why we bitch and moan. And on Monday it's going to be slightly better, allegedly. But by then it will already be Satan's armpit, so it won't actually. Naughty Kel, I got a new tub. Rory's next snack has arrived. Bastard animal. That's right, I'm just quickly looking at something. Bear with me a second. Rory is still feeling so sorry for himself. Not aided by picking on his sister and getting a sore nose for the privilege. So, you know, it's hard to be entirely sympathetic because it is all self-inflicted. But at the same time, he's feeling very sorry for himself. And I'm trying very, 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 very hard not to act like I'm laughing at him. But as I say, it's just kind of hard work. So I'm just... Oh, that's a shame. So there's an item on eBay that has caught my attention. But it's damaged. But there also isn't actually an overly good picture. Well, you see, I know that you guys can't see this overly well, But if I show you this, right, let me check actually what you can see at this point, because I know that this is not the best way of showing pictures. But you can see there lace with a rip in it. Except you and I both know that's a join that failed. For this item is supposed to be Chantilly lace shawls that are joined in the way that we are emulating. And in that, you can actually see that I am right. Because you can see that the loops that are coming up from the bottom have one thread, and the loops coming down from the top have one thread, and what's broken is the thread that wound between them to keep them together. I am quite tempted. It's a bit expensive, but it's got quite a few holes in it. So, for example, there's, again, you probably can't see too well, but you can see that there's some holes in it. I know this is such a boomer way of doing it, but it's on my phone, so bite me. There are holes in it, so there's quite a bit of damage to it. But of course, at the same time, I also have the potential ability to fix it. Or at least some of it. I don't... Yeah, it's not money I really want to spend on something I'd never wear. I mean, it's pretty. I'd love to have a good look at it. But I don't really want to spend that kind of money to look at it and go, oh, so that's how they did it, and hand it back again, you know? If it was in a shop, I'd have a go and look. You know, if it was down the local high street in a shop, I'd wander down the shop and have a damn good look at it. But, you know, and annoy the crap out of them because they'll think, oh, she's going to buy that. No, I'm not going to buy that. So, yeah, I'd be very interested to see it. But I've no interest in... It's like children. I like children. But I also like giving them back at the end of the day. I have no desire to have my own. Anyway, I should stop poking at interesting things on the internet because, well, especially when I'm not actually going to buy them. Yeah, Rory is feeling a little second-hand today, bless his little furry face. Because he's got a chunk slash on his nose from his sister, which he deserved. I'm not going to disagree. He did deserve it, because frankly I'd have given it to him if I'd had the chance. So, you know, you don't wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning in a foul mood and not expect the same in return. You know, it's just not how it works. But at the same time, you know, on top of his dodgy guts, I do, you know, he's having a bad week, the poor little man. He really is not having his best life this week. Which is a bit hard considering it was his birthday the other day, so... Well, their birthday the other day. Yeah. It's all gone downhill now you're 5, hasn't it, Rory? Eh? Being 5 sucks. Yeah, I know. I can't believe they're 5 already. I can't believe they're 5 already. I also got, with my replacement Rory snack, she says looking for it, it's on my table but I've moved everything since then, because of dog antics. Hang on. Where is it? What's wrong with it? You haven't eaten it, have you, Doug? I wouldn't put it past you. Oh, there it is. There's me wondering where it is, and it's still in its packaging. I have this. I have a monster tube of bead glue. Well, of course, it's not bead glue. I mean, we all know they have to go of something, right? And, you know, with all the best will in the world, we wish them to go in their sleep without pain and just to kind of not wake up in the morning. But very few actually do. Most of them require some assistance to give them a little grace and dignity at the end. But it is hard when they're in that close, but not close enough. It would be wrong to make the decision for them at this time, but at the same time, they're not really, you know, making the most of it, shall we call it. And so I do understand. I mean, I had that problem with Charlie, was that when he had good days, he was still very much himself. He, you know, on a good day, he looked like he had many years to go. But because he would get pneumonia in the blink of an eye because he was basically puking and it going down his airway, it meant that he could go from happy to very unhappy in 3 or 4 hours. And it was so hard. And now I will say, I gave in too soon. I was peer pressured into it, but it was too soon. Now, maybe not by a lot, but he was not done yet. Fiona was done, but mentally was not done, but her body could not have taken her any further. Which was hard because, of course, the front end of Fiona was still very, very good. It was the back half of Fiona letting her down. And so, to an extent, there is a bit of you going, oh, well, you know, you could get her one of those, like, wheelies and things. Yeah, but her guts, her whole stomach area had turned into a tumour. Very quickly. And so while she was happy now, she probably wouldn't have been for a lot longer. They gave her 2 weeks. She only lasted a week. And she kind of did the I'm done now kind of thing. So we let her lead the way. Maddie had cancer for years. Maddie should have been dead like 6 years before she was. But eventually, she won't. You know, she started doing more crazy shit than not crazy shit, and eventually one morning she woke up with the kind of I'm done now, and so we said goodbye and did our bit. But certainly for Charlie, he was not done, and I let him down, and I do carry that guilt with me because I should have advocated harder, because in essence Bristol Animal Hospital said he wasn't well enough to travel. My vet disagreed, and no offence, my vet knows me and my dog far better than some random arseholes in Bristol. And the only reason he'd gone to Bristol was because they had a certain machine that my vet did not. They didn't need their opinion, they wanted the machine. And so the fact that basically they held him captive for 3 or 4 days, didn't feed him, didn't water him, and then decided that that's it, he should die now. And so I really struggled with that, and I will always really struggle with that, because he was not done. He was not far from done, and it's not me going, oh, well, it's, you know, I'll miss him too much. No, I knew I was going to miss him. That wasn't the problem. He was not done yet. You should have seen him going into the hospital. He was all excited. He was bouncing along like a little puppy because he was excited. He was going to get to meet new people and be in a new place. He was happy. That's not a done dog. That's not a dog who needs to, dog ready to meet his maker. That's a dog who just thinks he's going to meet some new friends. And, well, they couldn't really look after him, which annoyed the crap out of me. They also charged me a small fucking fortune. Considering, as I said, they didn't feed him, they didn't water him, they didn't walk him. He just sat in a crate for 4 days. £1,200. 1,200 notes for that. My vet was furious. Absolutely furious. But of course, deed was done. Too late. I was so upset by it that... I value my time off work, right? But I was so upset by it that I went to work on the Monday, completely forgetting I actually had the week off work. Completely forgot. Got to work, sat down, I'd been there 2 hours, and my Outlook popped up with, you're on holiday today. Oh, fuck. Oh, I'm here now, might as well stay. What's the point of being at home? So I did my job for the day and kind of went, boss, I seem to be coming on my holiday. He went, I was a little surprised to see you this morning. I explained that, Charlie had died and that I was, definitely, a bit lost of will. And they refunded me my holiday and for that day and I had the rest of the week off and sat around the house moping because, well, Charlie wasn't there. So, yeah, it is very, very difficult to pick the right moment. But you need to find the moment before it's too unfair on them, but not before they're done. Because, well, otherwise you just carry that with you for the rest of your life. So, it would be nice if they could all, fall asleep and just not wake up, but sadly they don't seem to get around to that. Yeah, I have to admit, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen, It's going to be like 10 years' time, but I'm not so quite sure what's going to happen with these two. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because I don't think they would necessarily take kindly to someone new coming to live with them. Even though when they got here, there was already someone living here, so it's not like, they've never lived with anybody else. But, well, it was their house and they came to live in it. Now it's their house. And so I am a little concerned that I wouldn't be able to add before the decrease. And in decreasing, well, given that they are brother and sister, there's a strong chance that they will kind of go together. Because, a bit like married couples, when one goes, it's not uncommon, the other one goes as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, I don't really want to be dogless. So, should that occur, I concur with you. I really truly would hope that if for some reason I find myself in the dogless variety, that I can go for a really good nap and, well, wake up with a pair of wings, really. Because, well, won't be a reason to wake up in the morning. So, yeah. As someone who suffers from chronic depression, do not be alarmed by my thoughts of these things. It's very hard for me to explain to people I do have chronic depression, and I was considered by many as a suicide risk for ages. And there was a brief time, and it really was quite brief. It was about 3 weeks. I considered that terminating my existence. So I stopped eating the antidepressants that the doctor gave me, and I felt better. So, and I've been better since. So, the problem I had with antidepressants was instead of having like an up and downy cycle, They're supposed to, of course, level you out. Well, they did, but not at 0. At damn miserable. Well, that's no bloody use to me. I need to measure at least be 0, right? And so I stopped eating the pills because, well, I was going to be dead in 2 weeks, and well, it takes 2 weeks to get out your system, but with every passing day I felt better about it, and then I found things to smile about, and so I got over it, and that was the end of that, really. But I do occasionally have times when there is significant hope that if I am going to be taken in my sleep, please let it be tonight, I'm not actively going to help it, but dear God, it would be convenient. So yeah, I fully. My couch has soggy Vaseline spots on it. My skin's going to feel very soft from all these Vaseline spots on the couch. Is that why you're lying on the floor? Because you didn't want to lie on a Vaseline spot? Yeah. Anyway, enough more morbidity. Let me take a photo of today's contestant. It's not exactly a contestant. I do not foresee me having it in the final curtain. Although, to be honest, I do quite like how they turn out. Because in terms of a neck curtain, as I said, you've got cloth stitch, which is super dense, and then you've got various other stitches that have denser and more open parts and varying sized holes. This is a loose bit of cloth, but it's quite transparent, so it's this kind of intermediately dense setup, and I do quite like it. Oh God, excuse me. So yes, but as you can see, the end of this, well, you can't see because it's pinned down. Hang on. Twink. Twink. There's the end of this strip. So, we've got 2 more contestants. This one could arguably move up a bit, to be truly honest. Probably be about here, actually. Webs. We will continue this strip, and then we will admire it and rate the contestants, and then we will do the next strip once I pricked it. I don't know if I showed you. I got some boards that I can use for pricking. So I got these as a moth. There you go away. I got these, which are foam. Well, they're kind of like really hard felt, but they do work well with pins. They're quite solid, and I got 6 of them because they were quite cheap. So that's a good thing. So I can use those as a pricking board. Makes life a little bit easier than trying to do it on the pillow and it being quite so big and awkward and cumbersome. I'm sorry my table's so uncomfortable and in your way when there are couches, chairs and dog beds. There's 3 dog beds, 2 chairs and 2 spare seats on the couch, and we're both lying on the floor. It is that hot in here, But yeah, I shall... What day is it today? It's Thursday. I shall see you tomorrow afternoon. Now, don't forget, people, I will not guarantee to stream on Saturday or Sunday because I will be playing Monsters and Memories. Please come play Monsters and Memories. It's good to support the guys. I may stream, but I am not picking a time because it will be dependent on getting bored, getting frustrated with idiots, because there's always some idiots. And as we've already discussed on many times this stream, my tolerances for some things is considerably lower. And sometimes I have to walk away before I, get myself banned for being abusive at some of them, because some of them truly are special. There's a guy on the Unity forum who I'm going to have to put a block on so I don't see his posts. Not because there's anything wrong with his posts. It's not like he's called me names or anything. But he showed pictures of a web page, a bit like I do to you with my phone. So he'd obviously taken photos with his phone of the Unity tutorial. And it says, you know, in this section, we're going to show you how to do X. And he goes, I don't understand how to do X. And it's like, well, have you fucking read it? So I explained, well, you know, you need to put this on here and you do this and you click that and I'm sure it'll go on and explain it. So he starts a whole new post of, I haven't got this. Well, it's probably because you skipped the bit that told you to do that, because in essence, it's like reading the chapter titles and not reading the chapter. He's opened the front page that says, in this section, we're going to tell you this. And then he goes to the next one. He doesn't read the actual things he's supposed to do. And so, yeah, might have to mute that guy because he asked one more damn question. I'm liable to explain to him that if you can't follow instructions on a piece of paper, what in God's name thinks you're going to write a game and write coding and debug problems, you know, because one of the commonest problems I see in programming forums is people come along and find a tutorial, so such as how to do the Eye of Sauron here, right? Great. But if it was slightly bigger, so one pin bigger, so it was a slightly bigger or a slightly smaller, they've got no clue, and you're like, it's just bigger, it's just, you know, if adding 1 to X means it moves in increments to the right, I bet most of you could guess that if you subtract 1 from X, it will move it. They don't make that logical assumption. That just does not compute. And I find these people very, very hard. Because I want to slap the few. And when I mean slap, we've all seen the, you know, slap championship stuff. I'm talking those kinds of slaps. Not a kind of thing. No, I'm talking, yeah, wind up practice slaps, you know. To try and get some common sense in there. So it is. I do find it incredibly frustrating, and after a while I need to remove myself before I say something that will get me removed. And in some ways it's not really fair because, well, they started it. You know, I'm all for encouraging people to try things. I truly am. Because there are things we're good at that we don't know about yet. And lots of people said to me, oh, I couldn't make lace. But you could. You may not really want to. You may not enjoy it if you did, but you could certainly do it if you sat down. If I put you here and said, pick this up here, put that there, put pin in hole, you could do that. There isn't one of you who could not. Would you enjoy it? Probably not. But that's the difference. Is that you get lots of people at craft fairs going, oh, I couldn't do that. Well, you probably could. If you can pick things up and you can do that. Do you want to spend your time doing that? No, that's a very different thing. Because, you know, I've got a friend, and I was saying to my co-worker yesterday, I've got a friend. Now, she gets 6 weeks off in the summer, and at the end of the 6 weeks off, oh, I didn't have time to do anything. No, because she spent 6 weeks constantly cleaning her house. Well, if I had 6 weeks, there's no way I'm spending 6 weeks of it cleaning my house. I might spend the first few days, you know, giving it a bit of a blitz. I ain't spending every day for the rest of those 6 weeks cleaning it. Not when only I live in it. I want to do fun things. I prioritise me things. And I do that all the time. You know, I've got a pile of stuff, you know, North Celt will laugh. I've got a bit of a cardboard pile in the hallway. Not the same cardboard pile. This was cardboard pile part 2. I could clear it in half an hour. But it's still half an hour I could spend doing something else until it bothers me. It is that kind of thing. Is there are times to and times not to. And if it's bothering you, now's the time. If it's not bothering you or anybody else, and it's not, you know, a fire hazard, you know, going to kill the dogs, or, you know, it can wait. Do something you enjoy occasionally, because let's face it, life's got some sure shit bits in it. If you don't take some joy when you can, tomorrow's not guaranteed. You know, Do you think on your tombstone it's going to read, oh, she had a lovely clean house? No, of course it's not. I mean, it's not going to say Liz was a great lace maker and a crafter either, but that's not the point. At least I had fun. Well, sort of, you know what I mean. I mean, from the amount of cursing and grumping you'd be easy to believe that I don't enjoy it. And there are times that I don't enjoy it. But I do enjoy the end of it. I do enjoy looking and going, I did that. I mean, my joins on this strip, I am really proud of these joins. You know, that last join, having worked out how to do this to make it basically invisible, I'm dead pleased with that. I really think that's cool. I don't hate on any of these strips. So I'm really excited to get going on a real net curtain and put them together and see it all coming together in the long run. Really am. Now we do need to do quite a few more strips. Well, we've got 3 to do. So I need to do one where I do like the other half to see if it A, makes it too bold, and B, hides this slightly bigger looking hole. But also one that we do join as we go again, because I'm pretty sure I must have fucked that shit up, because there's no way it should have been quite that bad. But I do want to, you know, check that I did not screw it up. But we shall see. Yeah, it's all doable. You know, we have plans. And I look forward to it. I really do. I also am sick of the sight of triangles. So, you know, again, I'm looking forward to it. It's that kind of thing, is that, you know, you can, like lots of things, you're not always keen on all of the parts of the journey, but you like the destination and it makes it worthwhile. Stabbing myself with pins, can't say I enjoy that. Making my bobbins, I'm really proud of those bobbins. I love these bobbins. So there are aspects to it I truly, truly love. There's some bits that are the means to an end, and trying to finish them off, yeah, I'm a bit shit at that, so I'm not overly keen. Dog's woken up. But, you know, it is that kind of thing, right? Is that I would rather spend some time doing that. I mean, I've spent 3 odd hours doing this with you guys tonight, right? Now, I could have spent that 3 hours cleaning my house. You know, there's always something to do. Which one would I prefer doing? Right? So what did I do? Anyway, on that note, I shall see you tomorrow afternoon. Thank fuck it's Friday tomorrow. Dear God, thank fuck it's Friday tomorrow. It is Friday tomorrow. Please tell me it's Friday tomorrow. Yeah, it's Friday tomorrow. So, I shall see you tomorrow afternoon. Hopefully we shall have fun. Take care, everybody, and I hope that you have a joyous evening, night, morning, whatever the hell you've got, and that you sleep well overnight, and that I can see you all again really, really soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.